I'm so excited to introduce you to the best website designers out there. We have a brand new partnership with Session Sites. It is where good therapy meets brilliant design, and they get your website switched over or built in less than 2 weeks. They fine tune your messaging, use science backed user experience methodology, and work exclusively with mental health professionals. In fact, new clients right now are going to get 3 free therapy marketing strategy calls with their creative director of Session Sites if you book today. You're not going to want to miss this. Head on over to sessionsites.com/Joe. Again, that's sessionsites.com/Joe. Get the website of your dreams today. Sessionsites.com/Joe. This is the Practice of the Practice podcast with Joe Sanok, session number 1166. I'm Joe Sanok, your host, and welcome to the Practice of the Practice podcast. I hope you are doing awesome. We are in the middle of marketing month. This whole month, we're talking about marketing, growing your practice, getting new clients, how to get your name out there, things like that. We've already had some amazing episodes already. Kicked it off with G, who is talking about all sorts of different ways to market your practice and kind of big picture marketing. We talked digital marketing with Donald Thompson. We talked about the rule of 26 in marketing in the last episode. We're going to dig in today and throughout the rest of the month with some really awesome marketers. So if marketing gives you the heebie-jeebies, it makes you feel a little off, like, oh, I don't know about this. That's normal. That's what a lot of people feel. I, for a long time, had that feeling. And when I really switched and realized, you know what, marketing is just sharing with people that I exist. It's that, people are happy to find out that I exist. I worked mostly with teen and tween boys that were pissed off at the world. That was what I did mostly when I was in the counseling world. And when people found out there was a male therapist that helped young men, they were really excited to find that out. And when I realized marketing is not getting people to make decisions on things they don't want to make decisions on, it's just letting people know about what you're doing, sharing that good work, and then being able to really help in a number of different ways. That's when things really switched for me. So that's why I am so excited. Today, we have Omar Ruiz and we have Derek Collins. Omar and Derek both are therapists in private practice and marketing coaches. After building their own respective private pay practices, they've combined forces to help educate and coach mental health professionals around ethical and effective ways to market their services through both a comprehensive 5-hour online course plus direct one-on-one or group coaching. Welcome to the Practice of the Practice, Omar and Derek.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, Derek, let's start with you. So before we start rolling, we started talking about how mindset is so important. I want to hear about how has your mindset had to personally shift when it comes to marketing while you're in private practice?
So the biggest shift for me, and I think for a lot of therapists just getting started, is the money that you have to put into your practice. I tell the people that I'm coaching all the time, you have to put more money into your business than you did for your school. So it's a shame when people spend more money on their undergraduate degree and graduate degree than their business.
Now, when would you say in a year or over the lifetime of the practice, or like when you say more than you did into undergrad, like is there a certain percentage that you think people need to be thinking about, or like how do you break that down?
So I don't want to say percentage, but you're going to have to put some money into your website, your branding, your marketing. People want to have a certain level of results, but they're not putting in the effort or the dollars into their website, their cards, their image, because all that's important. If someone's going to pay you $300 an hour, your image needs to be right. So that's a big thing that we push when it comes to marketing your private practice. That's very important. Also, you have to go to conferences and events and put yourself out there. I've had billboards, I've had radio ads, I've done Facebook ads, I've done pay-per-click ads. There's no limit to what I will do to advertise my private practice. And I think other therapists should adopt the same strategies.
I'm so glad you bring that up. I remember early on, like probably the year before I started my private practice, I was reading Guerrilla Marketing, and I was going through Jay Levinson's book. And one thing he was talking about is kind of when other people are freaking out, like say there's a downturn in the economy, say there's all sorts of other things that happen, and uncertainty in the market or in politics or whatever. That oftentimes that sheds a lot of the people that weren't doing really good work to make things happen. Like they weren't doing marketing, they weren't investing. And so when people are tightening their belts, that's the time to really like increase your marketing budget. And he said, most people might spend, 3, maybe 5%, of their budget on marketing if they're doing it well. And I still remember him saying, between 10 and 15% going into your marketing budget, which we don't hit that with Practice the Practice. We probably should. But we haven't really found that like sweet spot of what works really well for our market yet. And so we're always kind of trying things with the idea that when we nail something, then we want to reinvest. But I love that you start with that idea of financially investing in your practice to get new leads. When you see your consulting clients and the people that are in your courses, Derek, start to change that mindset, usually there's some things we have to undo. Like, what are the unhealthy mindsets that people have to get rid of before they can move into that idea of investing in themselves?
The biggest thing is to remove the scarcity mindset and fear. I tell people all the time, if you lost $10,000, would that make you or break you? Probably if you lost it, it would not hurt you. If you lost 10 grand right now, it wouldn't probably affect the grand scheme of things. So invest 10 grand in your business. That's a starting point. It's not going to put you under. If you lose it, that's okay. It's a lesson. But you need to put 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand into your business. If people knew how much I spent on my marketing, they would throw up. But you have to be findable. And if they cannot find you, they cannot pay you. So it's very important that therapists, counselors, social workers invest in themselves and get past that scarcity, fearful mindset. It does not serve them, it will not help them, and it definitely will not pay them.
Mm. So what else goes into that healthy mindset? So we've got kind of the idea of investing in yourself financially, like investing in your marketing. Are there other things that, before we dig into kind of some of Omar's tips, that we need to make sure people have in regards to just their baseline mindset to be successful with marketing in a practice?
Yes, I think the baseline thing is just to have awareness. It's very important that therapists know that there are six-figure therapists, that there are seven-figure therapists, and that there are eight-figure therapists. They just don't know them. And when I ran into a eight-figure therapist, I was like, "Oh crap! If she can do it, I can do it too." That just broadened my awareness and let me know, hold on, there's another game being played. I just don't know the information. So once I always tell people, education will get you in the front door, but information will get you in the back door where the real money is. So it's very important that therapists are seeking information and find out the niches that will lead to the riches and then learn the things that they do not know, because there's a lot of things that many of us do not know, and the rabbit hole is deep, but you have to seek, and if you seek, you shall find. So go out there, seek, put your money where your mouth is, and believe in your practice like you believed in your education.
Hmm. Now, Omar, tell me a little bit about when you're thinking about strategies and areas that people should put their time and their money in regards to their marketing. What comes to mind first?
I think for me, when I am approached by therapists, I look at them as which bucket of their journey are they in, which will then dictate sort of where they're going to have to put in the time and or money. So if they're a new therapist in private practice, what I've seen throughout my career as a business slash marketing coach is that they try to get the free things, which is a free trial. Let's just say one of the first platforms that most new therapists are informed about is Psychology Today, which famously offers a 6-month trial of their platform. From there, they tend to try to piecemeal together a basic website, whether if it's coming as part of uh, any other platform that they're using, such as if their electronic health record or EHR system offers a free quote unquote website, which to us is just a web page, or if they are trying to pay for a low tier sort of blanket site, such as like a Wix or a Weebly or something of that nature. Then the second tier are those who have already achieved enough clients on their caseload that they would then start really thinking about investing into uh, building a better website, where they might look onto other sites that can expand on their design, such as like a Squarespace or any one of the what I would call templated sites. But that's more for those who are really wanting to expand their reach online. And then around that time, that's when some folks are introduced to other tactics of marketing, such as search engine optimization or SEO, or even Google Ads or pay per click campaign. And then the third tier are those who are either entering into a group practice or those who are solo practitioners that really want to maximize their referrals. That's when they're really putting a lot more effort into more paid avenues, such as social media marketing, or outsourcing their efforts to a company or a consultant like ourselves to be able to support their growth. So, at least to me, I would say it all depends on what their budget is. But to go off of what Derek had mentioned, their budget is going to be influenced by their what I would call money mindset. Are they more risk averse or risk tolerant as far as where they're willing to put in that investment as a way to grow their business?
Mm. So, what are some of the areas that you're seeing work? I know before we started talking, one of them was reviews, and I would love to hear because that can be a hot button issue for a lot of folks. Can we start there with talk about reviews? Talk about how people are doing that well and ethically, and what you're seeing in regards to results.
Yeah, reviews is one of those aspects where it's free. It's something that could be collected over time on different review platforms, such as Yelp, Google Business Profile, even Psychology Today allows for their members to include endorsements on their platform. What I've come across over the years is that that sort of tactic of reviews is also known as building social proof. And social proof is just a psychological phenomenon for people to do do and follow what others are doing. So whenever you make an Amazon purchase, most times, not all the time, but most people will be curious to look at how many reviews they have, how many stars, their average star rating, and actually reading into the reviews themselves, because people are now able to access other people's experiences of the products and services that are in the market. And this also applies to therapeutic services. Therapists, even if it's prescribing providers such as psychiatrists, psychiatric nurses, and physician's assistants, we're all not immune to receiving reviews and testimonials from our clients or patients. And as consumers of therapeutic services, they're going to go online, whether or not we want to believe it or not, that they're going to go online and do their due diligence of researching us. And so online reviews is a very big component for both my practice and as well, and I would hope that Derek can speak on it on his group practice, which has our ability to understand the loopholes between code of ethics, HIPAA, and policies written in review sites has allowed us to really educate ourselves around how we can leverage online reviews to be able to acquire more client referrals.
Mm. Yeah, so take us through because most codes of ethics don't want you to directly ask your clients, will you do a review for me? They don't want that power dynamic where someone feels like they have to reveal confidential information, like they're in therapy. Like, how do you address those concerns?
Yep. So I break them down into three different buckets. We have the most strict code of ethics. Then we have ones that have specific requirements that must be followed. And then we have ones that their code of ethics don't really have any restrictions. So the most restrictive code of ethics that I've found is through the ACA or the American Counseling Association. For professional counselors who adhere to that code of ethics, their code of ethics state that they cannot solicit testimonials from both former and current clients. Then from there, the one in the middle is a toss up between a whole bunch of different providers. Because what I've learned is providers are divided by two within mental health. You have talk based providers and you have prescribing providers. Talk based are your social worker, psychologist, your counselor, and your marriage and family therapist or just therapists. And then prescribing providers, as I mentioned before, are those who are able to prescribe psychiatric medication, such as psychiatrists, psychiatric nurse practitioners, and physician's assistants. So with social workers, I already mentioned the counselors, the professional counselors, but with their social workers and psychologists, their code of ethics explicitly state that they cannot solicit testimonials from current clients. However, neither of their code of ethics says anything about former clients. And then we have marriage and family therapists, which I divide them into two: those who abide by the AAMFT and those who are in California that adhere to the CAMFT. So in the AAMFT code of ethics, there's nothing that explicitly states that they cannot solicit testimonials or reviews. The only closest thing is a section that speaks about avoiding exploiting clients and students and so forth. But again, it doesn't specify anything. As long as of today in 2025, there's nothing that has been updated. Now, for those who are adhering to the CAMFT, there is a specific code that specifies that they cannot solicit reviews from specific clients who are vulnerable to undue influence. Now, for those who are listening, most code of ethics would say or mention the term undue influence, which I've learned is a legal term, not a clinical term, which basically, in the most layman's terms, is that it's applicable to those who cannot make decisions independently based on their own free will. So it's almost like a teenager. A teenager cannot make a decision on their own because they require their parents or their guardian to make that decision because they are dependent on them. So that's one example of it. And so with that, I've also discovered with the CAMFT, they had an article that was published in May of 2022 by their legal department that specifies that an MFT in California can generally solicit a review or testimonial so long as the client is not vulnerable to undue influence. Prescribing providers, none of their code of ethics has any restrictions on soliciting reviews or testimonials. I've searched the AMA, or the American Medical Association, the APA, not the American Psychological Association, but the American Psychiatric Association, the ANA, which is the American Nursing Association, and as well as the Physician's Assistants Code of Ethics. I could not locate anything that state that they could not solicit reviews. And then there are specific within counseling, there's other types of counselors, such as Christian counselors. They cannot solicit reviews from current clients, but they are allowed to solicit from former clients as long as there's a conversation in a form that's signed. Substance abuse counselors, their code of ethics allows them to solicit from former clients. Then we have pastoral counselors, and then so forth. So, in short, what I would say is that if they cannot solicit a review based on their code of ethics, both from former and current clients, then what they need to do is work on soliciting professional endorsements, which are basically almost like a colleague review of your support and service. And that's where that other professional who, one, is not in treatment with you, so therefore the standards of confidentiality does not prohibit them or apply to them, simply because there is no differential of power between you and that other professional. But one of the things that I've also discovered in my research is that most code of ethics do try to pinpoint for the professional that they need to be aware of who they're endorsing or speaking about in public. Because just because it might be a colleague of yours, you also have to consider, like, is this the best person that can speak on my clinical work and can speak on my expertise? So if you're on the bucket that has extreme restrictions, then you're going to be soliciting professional endorsements. And that's a different form of social proof. Those who cannot solicit from current clients, but their code of ethics does not say anything about former clients, then that is something to consider. Now, I do give a disclaimer that I am a marriage and family therapist that abide by the AAMFT. So I do, my disclaimer is just because you hear me share this in this podcast does not mean that it is a complete rule of thumb. It's more of a guideline. I always will suggest that practitioners need to consult with their own code of ethics to ensure that they are adhering to their code of ethics. The issue I have with many providers is that they only know about their own code of ethics. They don't take the time to do research on other people's code of ethics. And so they impose their own values and belief systems onto other practitioners. And that's not okay. Because just because we're all mental health providers doesn't mean that we've been trained or nor do we adhere to the same standards across the board. And so with former clients, one thing I've also heard in the market is once a client is always a client. But that to me is more of a phrasing of not putting any sort of barriers for clients to be able to continue treatment with you, even if they discharge. When you're in private practice, uh, many or most, hopefully, practitioners will understand that there's a process that you have to. If a client is no longer with you or discontinues the service, you have to discharge them. And so when you discharge them, they are no longer an active current client. They are now considered a former client. So when people throw out the idea of, well, once a client, always a client, that has more to do with the accessibility of service, not actually whether or not they can solicit a testimonial. And then finally, the last bucket is those who have no restrictions whatsoever. That's when we have to now enter in the conversation of HIPAA. HIPAA, or the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, it's a set of guidelines around how to protect the privacy and confidentiality of client and patient records and information as far as it pertains to protected health information, or PHI. HIPAA does not have any sort of guidelines that I can find that specifies whether or not someone can solicit a testimonial or review. That has to do more with your code of ethics. HIPAA, when people bring that up when it comes to marketing, it has more to do with whether or not they can respond to a review. And so I'll get to that in later, but I'll just wrap up this section where if you're on the last bucket, where you can, and there's no restriction on you being able to solicit a review or testimonial, my recommendation is to do so at the end of treatment, during either the day of discharge or a week after. And you can simply share with that client or patient that you're trying to improve your presence online, and part of it is to include some sort of review of your service. And then mention to that person that they don't have to leave a review. And if they do leave a review, it could be something very generic, such as we worked with Joe Schmo, and he has helped us tremendously, and we recommend for anybody who needs therapeutic support to feel free to please book a session with him. And then that's it. They don't have to go into detail about the specific issues that they have been dealing with as to why they went to your service, but the purpose of, again, capturing their review is to showcase to other people that your service is of value. And there's other ways that I can go to as far as like collecting those reviews. But I'll just, I know I've shared a lot, Joe, so I want to give you the floor.
Mm-hmm. As a therapist, I can tell you from experience that having the right EHR is an absolute lifeline. I recommend using therapy notes. They make billing, scheduling, note-taking, telehealth, and e-prescribe incredibly easy. Best of all, they offer live telephone support that's available 7 days a week. You don't have to take my word for it. Do your own research and see for yourself. Therapy Notes is the #1 highest rated EHR system available today, with a 4.9 out of 5 stars on trustpilot.com and on Google. All you have to do is click the link below or type promo code Joe on their website over at therapynotes.com and receive a special 2-month trial absolutely free. Again, that's therapynotes.com and use promo code Joe on the website. If you're coming from another EHR, Therapy Notes will also import your demographic data quick and easy at no cost, so you can get started right away. Trust me, don't waste any more of your time and try Therapy Notes. Just use promo code Joe at checkout. Well, before we go to Derek, I do want to just make sure we note that thing that you said you talk about in the future, and I say we might as well do it now, and that's how to respond to negative reviews. What would you recommend in regards to if someone gives a negative review?
Yeah. So within HIPAA, I'm forgetting the section number, but there's two things to keep in mind. One, with HIPAA, you are required to have a signed release of information, or ROI, on record or on file, in order to disclose any sort of protected health information, or PHI. So, whether if it's a positive or negative review, you cannot, within your review, share out that person's identifiable information. So, if Joe Schmo left you a negative review, you cannot say, "Thank you so much, Joe Schmo, for your feedback." You have to leave that information out, because the client does not have to adhere to any sort of code of ethics. They can do whatever they want and as they please. But as one, as a business owner, and two, as a licensed mental health practitioner, you're held responsible to adhere to HIPAA. And so, because of that, if it's a negative review, everything that you share has to be generic. So you can say, "Thank you so much for your feedback." Um, then the next statement is, you want to speak on your policy. Um, Based on our policy, we work to try to offer quality care and service to everyone we work with. Please feel free to give us a call or send us an email so that we can discuss the concerns presented on this review. Now, that sort of feedback, one, does not share out any sort of PHI information. And two, the goal of that response is to get that person from online to offline. Because the last thing you want to do is you don't want to expose them, nor do you want to get into some sort of back and forth with that person. Because unfortunately, there are some times that people leave fake reviews or negative reviews, and they were never an active client. They could have called your practice, maybe the phone disconnected, or you didn't get a chance to pick up, and then all of a sudden they leave you a nasty review saying that there's poor customer service. For you, your goal is to showcase to people who come across your reviews online is that, one, you're an active business, and two, you respect and adhere to your professional standards regarding the protection of confidentiality and privacy. Even if it's a positive review, you simply say, "Thank you so much for this wonderful review. We at such and such, whatever your practice name is, we strive to offer support and care to everyone we work with." And then period. Nothing else. Unfortunately, with mental health professionals in private practice, because we are teetering on the lines of confidentiality, privacy, and the need to not harm clients through any of our actions, we really have to be intentional with our responses.
Awesome. Derek, I'd love to hear from you. How are you thinking about marketing, both in your own practice and then in the practices that you work with?
Well, I'll say this. I basically believe in reviews. Reviews will make you a ton of money. And that's a huge way to get more clients because it's social proof. That is a part of my marketing strategy. And a way to get around that as well is all my clients that see me are not therapy clients. The majority of my clients are psychoeducation. Also, I have a ton of coaching clients that come see me. So they can leave reviews. I get professional endorsements as well. So you do not have to necessarily get reviews from your therapy clients if that's an issue for you. You can get reviews from professionals that know you in the field, your coaching clients, as well as your psychoeducation clients. So that's a great way to get social proof I read a great book called Five Star Attorney by Andy Stickle that changed my life, and it changed the game on when it comes to reviews. So that's a huge way to get more clients and market yourself, because in my field, I do court mandated services, and unfortunately, a lot of my clients are making sure that the providers are not scamming them. There are a lot of scam artists out there, so they're trying to make sure that you're legit. And the way that they find out that you're legit is through social proof and reviews. I also do the evaluations. I do SAP evaluations, and a lot of drivers or truck drivers or safety sensitive employees have been scammed by fake evaluators. So my reviews show them that, hey, I'm legit. Um, this is real, and they're safe doing business with me.
Mm. So awesome. Well, and if anyone wants to hear more about kind of what Derek does, back in episode 1153, he dug into court mandated referrals. So that was just about a month ago, almost to the day that one went live. We've just got a couple minutes left. Would love to hear from each of you just some of your best marketing techniques. If people are going to put some time and money into things, maybe like, are there three brief areas that you would say like, dig into these three areas? Omar, we'll go to you, and then we'll go to Derek for just three areas that you'd say like these are great spots to put your time and money into.
Yes, my number one that has worked for me tremendously has been a Google Business Profile. One, it's free. Two, it works very well specifically if you see clients in person. Unfortunately, there are policies in place within Google Business that restricts online only practices from having a Google Business Profile, because they do require that practitioners need to submit a video verification in order to verify that you do see customers, or in our case, clients in person. For me, a Google Business Profile, the reason why it's a number one is because it's part of what is known as local SEO, or local search engine optimization. If you complete it in full, it allows your practice to be eligible to show up within the Google Maps section. So if anybody Googles, let's just say, couples therapy near me, Google's results is divided into three sections. The top, it tends to be sponsored ads, or as what we would know in marketing as pay-per-click campaigns, or PPC. The second is the map section, and the third is your organic results. And so, 100, let's just say 100 people search that phrase, 33% of them are going to click on the ads, 33 are going to click on maps, and 33 is going to click on the organic results. And so when you are able to really fine tune your Google Business Profile, plus obtain a minimum, I would say about 10 reviews within your Google Business Profile, that allows or gives you a chance to be eligible to show up on the map section, which will help attracting more local clients. So that's number one. Number two for me has been my website when it comes to SEO, or search engine optimization. Um, it must be understood that SEO is a long term marketing strategy. Just because you format your website for SEO strategies and techniques, it doesn't mean that you're going to show up on the top of Google's organic results. It takes time because there's different aspects to it. But for me, it's been very helpful. Even if, like, just to as a sort of proof, if you were to search up the term premarital counseling Boston, my website should show up as number one or number two within the search results. And my private practice is called Talk Think Thrive. And then my third is Psychology Today. There's been a lot of different ideas behind Psychology Today. A lot of, because of the design shift and more people joining the platform. I hear a lot of folks that it's very saturated and competitive. But my feedback to everybody is, you cannot and should not just rely on Psychology Today for your referrals, especially if you're new. It should be used as one of many different marketing platforms. And I honestly see Psychology Today as more of a supplemental referral source rather than the only thing I rely for a referral. So those would be my top three.
So awesome. And Derek, would love to hear from you. What are your top three marketing things you'd want people to put their time and money into?
All right. So first off, I'm going to go old school, and I'm telling you, this works. I've been doing it for years, and I'm surprised not a lot of other therapists are doing it. Street signs. Yes, those street signs that you see posted out right now. This is political season right now, or people are running for office and they have those signs out. I put out signs advertising anger management. I put out signs advertising substance abuse counseling. I put out signs advertising life coaching. You guys can do the same things. You put those signs in high traffic areas, okay? And you want to put those signs near a Costco, a freeway exit, where a lot of people are going to see those signs. I've never seen other therapists put out signs advertising their counseling services. I would put out marriage and family counseling and just my phone number. You'd be surprised how many phone calls you will get. So that's number one. Number two, I would create a special URL for the service that you provide. I do that all the time with my business. That's one of my hacks. So, for example, if someone's looking for an alcohol and drug evaluation, my website is alcoholanddrugevaluations.com. It ranks very high, and people are able to find me in local searches. So anytime someone's looking for alcohol and drug evaluation in my area, I pop up on the first page of Google. So use your keywords. A lot of people are not doing this. I have about 20 different websites that I run for my private practice. Also, YouTube. Number three will be YouTube. You want to create videos on YouTube answering questions that your clients are trying to get answers to. And YouTube will help you show up locally in the search results. So advertise your counseling services on YouTube and put the title of your service and your city in the title of your YouTube video, and you'll get a lot of people watching your videos in your area. And also make sure to answer the questions that they may have. So I'll go into Google and look up the commonly asked questions on Google as it relates to alcohol and drug evaluations or substance abuse counseling or SAP evaluations, and I'll answer those questions on YouTube and leave my phone number, my website, and that's how I get a ton of clients.
I'll let you kick off that final question, Derek. If every private practitioner in the world were listening right now, what would you want them to know?
Hey, you guys got this. You can do this. Uh, don't let fear get in the way of stopping you from being successful. Be aware that there are 6-figure and 7-figure therapists out there. Just because you don't know them does not mean that they're not out there. If they can do it, you can do it too. Get coaching, get advice, watch webinars, uh, listen to podcasts, and just believe in yourself. You got this.
Mm. So awesome. And Omar, what about you? What would you want every private practitioner in the world to know?
What I would want them to know is that if you're new, it's okay to try to pinch every penny that you can because it's a new path that you're taking. But just know that there will be a time where you cannot just continue piecemealing your private practice. You need to, going back to Derek's point, you need to change your mindset and understand that when you're building a business, you're going to have to invest back into your business, and whether or not that's investing in paying for different directories, actually paying for someone to create your website instead of you doing it. Because I know for a fact that for myself, I know that there are certain skill sets that I'm not good at, and that's when I decide to outsource or hire someone who is good at that skill. And then lastly, really consider that even the best of us have our days. Just because there are certain folks who have an established practice, that they also struggle at different seasons to be able to attract the clients that they need, especially if they're a private pay practice, because private pay practices are known that they need to work on their marketing as compared to an insurance based practice where simply depend on clients just choosing their insurance to cover for the cost of services. So if you're a private pay practice, please understand it will take some time. Do not fall into this bucket of seeing people that say, I built my practice in 2 months. Well, you really have to really dissect that and ask very specific questions of how did they do that? Could that be possible? Yes, but that's not applicable for everybody. Everybody's situation, their practice, their skill set, and their specialty is different. So please understand it will take time, and you need to make sure that you are able to shift from having a clinical mindset where you're just thinking about treatment and how to best care for your patients and clients to a business mindset where you now have to really consider strategy as far as your marketing and your business plan and growth.
So awesome. Derek, if people want to work with you and Omar, where should we send them?
They should go to marketyourprivatepractice.com. That's marketyourprivatepractice.com.
And we have a special that we're going to be providing to all listeners. You can be eligible to get 50% off our 5-hour course, which is an online course that in less than 5 hours, you will learn how to ethically and effectively market your services using Psychology Today, Google Business Profile, understand SEO, get an overview on Google Ads, learn about social media marketing, and everything that I discussed today about online reviews was part of my presentation at the Mental Health Marketing Conference. And I have also uploaded that video, which is a 42-minute video presentation, onto our course portal. So to get the 50% off, all you have to do is when you go to the checkout page, type in POP50, which is Practice of the Practice 50, which is 50% off. And there you can log in and then make sure that you take your time and watch the course and apply those strategies that we mentioned within our course.
So awesome. Thank you so much for being on the Practice of the Practice podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So many great resources on today's show. You know, one of our newest partners, Session Sites, you're going to want to check them out if you are looking to get your website maybe improved or even just start one. They do a website in 14 days or less. Sessionsites.com/Joe. That is one of our new partners. You know, we also couldn't do this show without amazing sponsors like Therapy Notes. Therapy Notes is the best electronic health records out there. They will help you switch over from your current EHR. They also give you 2 months for free or just money off if you use promo code Joe at checkout. They are phenomenal. They help with automated billing. It's going to make it easier to outsource your billing. So many reasons to switch to Therapy Notes. Just head on over to therapynotes.com, read about it, and at checkout, just use promo code Joe. Thank you so much for letting me into your ears and into your brain. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Special thanks to the band Silence is Sexy for that intro music, and this podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regard to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, the producers, the publishers, or guests are rendering legal, accounting, clinical, or other professional information. If you want a professional, you should find one.